Hey guys, welcome back to the Gulf Coast Growth Show. I'm your host, Jason Lee, and I'm here today with Roger Pombrol. He's the president of Emerald Standard Electrical Contractors here in Pasadena, Texas. Roger, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Jason, for having me.
Yeah, and so Roger is the chairman of the board for the National Association of Minority Contractors, and today we're going to be talking about really the importance of minority contractors in our community. And as for many of you that, if it's your first time tuning into the show, we really represent and embody everything from the operators, which are the plants, the refineries, the things coming out of the ports, to the guys that are doing the electrical work inside of those refineries, to people who are coming over and looking for a new opportunity in our great state and trying to create a career for themselves. And a lot of that is minorities. Houston is an eclectic group of people coming from all over the world, and we have a really great resource in the people that are here that could go on and build companies, and we need more of those. I was just with the ABC last night. There was a huge amount of both female and diversity included people that were being representative as award winners and people that they were identifying and recognizing. We're going to talk about Bill Brown from Austin Commercial later. He was recognized for an award, so it's great to see what's happening with the minority community in construction, right? And in this industry. So we're going to talk a lot about that today, but Roger, you're uniquely equipped to be a representative for this because of your story. I think you have a phenomenal story about where you guys come from. Maybe you could share with the audience a little bit about where you guys, you and your father, and how the company kind of got originated.
Sure, absolutely. Well, thank you, Jason. Thank you for the opportunity to be on your podcast and talk about very important things to our community. Yes, the company. My father, he's an immigrant. Story came to the United States in 1966 as a Cuban refugee. Braved the Gulf Coast, Gulf of Mexico Straits, that narrows to the Key West and all that and stuff. And a very impressive story. He's actually even finishing a book, himself about his story leaving. But he came back 22, 23 years old, put himself through school, became an engineer, and then pretty quickly thereafter, he went into business. I mean, the entrepreneurial spirit has always been part of him, and so point after, between his first business, second business, I was born. And so I was born into a small business, minded family. I mean, all my life I've been a small business person. We eventually, he got an opportunity in South America with a company to do some construction management down there on the electrical. Of course, when he became an engineer, he was an electrical engineer. It's always his trade. So he started that business. So, we lived down in South America for the 80s and 90s. Okay. And I was, born here back in the South Florida years, back in the 70s. And of course, things, took a turn, for the worse down in South America. So for my dad, was the second time, immigrating. And in that case, lived there, lived here. So we came back to the United States, which at the end was always our it's where our heart was the country that first, always welcomed us. So that was back in, we just turned 20 years, our business here. So that was back in December of 2001, we incorporated, here in Texas, and to get into the electrical contracting business. That's kind of what he was doing, he did in those formative years in the 80s and 90s. So 2000s and 2010s, we've been doing similar here. And like I said, when it came time to start the business, we were, we knew we want to be somewhere in the ship channel. That was, we knew. We were very familiar because of our oil and gas background in South America with Houston, with the industry, and we know where the money is made, and the money is made, in this region. Okay, so we wanted to be a part of that. That's where the economic strength was. So we bought 2002. 6 months after incorporating, we bought 2 acres here in Pasadena, off Preston 225, and we've been there for all these 20 years. Okay, like I said, Houston's been wonderful to us. We're very grateful, and but pretty quickly, things took off, and here we are.
Now, you decided to, and thank you for sharing that, by the way. 20 years of phenomenal achievement, and I'm sure you've helped a lot of minorities get involved in the construction industry, grow and take care of their families through the construction industry, and now that's parlayed into a chairman role with an organization that serves the minority contractor community. Can you tell us a little bit about the kind of the objectives and the goal of the National Association of Minority Contractors?
Sure, absolutely. So, of course, my passion growing up has been construction. That's what, the family business was. And then my background, I'm a proud, Hispanic. I'm very proud of my heritage. Like I said, having lived 20 years, in South America myself, I was born in this country, but I've had the experience of basically being an immigrant twice over. I was a foreigner. It was funny because in South America I was the gringo, right?
Right.
I spoke English and all that, and then I come here, and now I'm like, it's always, that sense of being a little bit of an outsider. Okay, so I've had that experience in multiple times in my life. So that's something that resonated a lot to me, and I can relate with a lot of other immigrants from all over the place, right? Whether they're from Latin America, from Asia, or even, are historically marginalized, groups here in the United States that maybe came 200 years ago, but still to this day, because of the color of skin, they're looked upon differently and marginalized. So I've always resonated. My dad always spoke with an accent, okay?
Right.
Sometimes, because, like I said, I spent 20 years old, sometimes I have a funky accent and all that, and it comes and goes, I suppose. But I can relate. I encounter, because I'm 100% fluent in Spanish, so I'll start talking to a small contractor who actually doesn't speak a whole lot of English, and I realize, let's say, a drywall guy or a cabinet guy or a plumber, and I see them struggling. They're like magnificent tradespeople. They do, wonderful work, but they're not, getting as far as they can because maybe they don't speak English very fluent. That subtracts from their confidence, and what I realized, and the reason I became a part of NAMC, because I believe, we got to stick together, okay? So I got involved back in 2008 with the National Association of Minority Contractors as a member. Back in 2016, that I got onto the board. The association needed help. Eventually became executive vice chair and then chair. What does the National Association of Minority Contractors do? By the way, I'm chairman of the Houston chapter. This is a national association, as its name well indicates, and it's already going 51, 52 years.
Oh, wow.
Okay, it was founded in 1969 in Oakland, California. There's a whole story about NAMC National, but like I said, this is not something that's come around a few years ago or a decade ago. No, it's been going on very strongly for 50 years. So I figure, I got to be a part of something, because I believe that, I've had my own set of struggles. I've been in rooms where, like, I've looked up, you sense it. Okay, yeah, can you do this? And I always feel like, I get an extra set of questions, an extra, put into a finer microscope at times. So that happens and still happens to this day, even when people are coming really from their hearts are in the right place, but they still had some doubts, So the National Association of Minority Contractors comes together to assist a minority and women-owned businesses as well in construction, because women are, minorities in the construction trade. So we welcome all people of color and women in construction, and so that we can provide a platform, number one, for them to, gain capacity, to learn, to educate, to advance themselves, and other to serve as a voice also, to go talk to our, elected representatives, or even, larger corporations, and represent our interest and say, hey, something, this is all great, but things need to get better. How can they get better? We're here. We associate currently over 300 small minority-owned, women-owned contractors here in Houston alone. Nationally, it's tens of thousands. Okay, there's 22 chapters. Okay, all around the nation. So I decided to get involved because I felt that we weren't well represented. Sometimes when you look at San Antonio, even Dallas, and especially the construction trade, I felt that minorities weren't being well represented. The NAMC chapter existed, but it would go up and down, and it wasn't always as active as we would like it to be. So I said, back in 2016, I literally, they all knew me. Hey, there wasn't vacancy, so I got on, and I said, well, let's see what they're doing there. I couldn't resist. That's when I found that I was more passionate about it than I originally thought. And I said, there's a whole lot to be done. There was a lot of low-hanging fruit, things that could be, and so we started, capitalizing on that. And there's been some wonderful things we've been able to do.
Yeah, so let's talk about specific things that you are able to do, and tie it back to, if I'm a minority contractor, right? So how does NAMC step in and help me as a minority contractor? So specifically, like you mentioned.
Number one, connecting you to contracts, finding you work.
Okay, there you go, finding you work.
Number one, and they come to us because these are contractors that maybe they got, some clients and they want to expand, they want to grow. So what do? We have our regular members, right? The hardworking men and women of the construction industry, regular associate members. And we also have what's called major corporate partners. And who are those? Austin Commercial, Gil Bain, all the Bain names that you can think of as far as contracting, the Port of Houston, the City of Houston, Metro, okay, the Houston Airport System are outstanding supporters of NAMC, major corporate partners. What do they have? They have a lot of work for our community, okay? They have a lot of work for our contractors. But a lot of times, like I said, especially on the government side of things, so, and there's also, there's goals, there are incentives. And, they want to do more business with minority and woman-owned businesses, in construction, okay? So they have certification processes because they want to, just not everybody come in and say, oh yes, I'm a minority, and so there's a process, so they're getting certified. So then we come, okay, we can assist you with that. We do, lunch and learns, we do seminars, trainings, okay, on how to get certified with all these different agencies. This is all good, but then you have the federal registrations, you got, the state of Texas hub, you got City of Houston with a lot of different designations. You can have on the private side of things, there's other certifications. So all of a sudden, these small, companies come to us and they're they may be a little bit overwhelmed. So we come in and say, like, don't worry about it. Here's Roger. I'm an electrical contractor. I got certified, 19 and a half years ago. I started business. My first year, I was certified all over. I had a knack. I did a lot of work in oil and gas. I had a knack for paperwork. I didn't mind it. But some people, paperwork, they see it and they're like, oh, no, forget it.
Right.
I just want to work. I just want to do the work. So we give them support on their back office.
Nice.
They need to get better in their back office. So we provide that. And how do we do that? As with training. And for example, we just completed our second, construction management, fundamentals of construction management class with the University of Houston. Okay, that was in partnership with 4 major corporate partners.
Oh, wow.
And the University of Houston. So it was a 32-hour, fundamentals of construction management class taught by University of Houston construction management faculty professors. Okay,
Fantastic.
You don't find that anywhere. There's no other. I can tell you that a NAMC chapter that's doing anything even remotely similar to that. And how did that come about? Well, because of our partnership with the University of Houston, their hub department. Okay, and then all these other major corporate partners. Like I said, Austin Commercial, Manhattan Construction. It was DPR, and then who was the fourth one? I'm sure it escapes me, but and Tellefson. Okay,
there
fantastic. Tellefson, and I can't say enough about Jonathan.
You did good.
Shaw.
You put yourself on the spot there.
Yes. But no, and Tellefson, they've come on lately, but very strongly, and so their support of this class was not only, with financial support, which was very needed because guess what? University of Houston faculty professors are not cheap, okay? But they're top quality.
Right.
So number one, they come in and they're able to, subsidize, cover the cost. Our members only paid $250 for this class. But they also bring their subject matter experts, okay? They bring their estimators, they bring their project executives, so you're going to be hearing from the faculty professors, and then you're also going to be hearing from seasoned, project executives. Bill
Fantastic.
Brown came out there, and then he told it, like it was. He shared his experience, and not only Bill, but Jonathan Shaw, Raylena Browning with Manhattan. She's the lead pre-construction, manager for Manhattan Construction. She came in with her book, and she actually, gave us a copy of what they presented, okay, for a GMP on a big project for a major university here in the region. And you're able to see that, so you're getting an insider's look, okay? That's what membership has its benefits, okay? That's it, only for NAMC members, but they get access to that type of training. Well, in 2022, we're going to go up for sure in our third year. All the members who took the class, they want to go from fundamentals of construction management. They want to go to, level 2, level 3. So, and the university is very pleased because all these members, they're gaining formal training in construction management, okay? So you're having somebody who came through the trades, a plumber, a drywaller, an electrician, HVAC tech, and that never had an opportunity to go to college and learn, formally construction management. And they're coming in 4 weeks, 4 Saturdays, they're getting this quick overview, but very comprehensive overview from, the fundamentals, academically, but also from the top of the line, project executives in our industry here in Houston.
That's fantastic. And, the thing that you spoke about is this collaborative effort, both from the bigger organizations, the educational systems, as well as yourself, and then all the way down to this minority contractor. Because when you think of already how if you're a small business owner, and I'm sure we have those listening to this call, I mean, setting up an LLC, figuring out your work, what do you call it, your employee taxes, doing all that stuff is hard enough. Trying to understand that is hard enough, much less figuring out how to get an MSA in one of these big giant refineries, or how to get an MSA with some of these larger commercial GCs, and that's a complex process. So now you're adding in layers of things, and you just said it. Some guys they were built to work. God wired them to work that way. That's their gifts. That's their skill set. We see that all the time. So I think it's kind of another testament to the camaraderie and collaboration that happens in industry.
Yes.
Because industry is not just churning out people with degrees. They get into the workforce, everybody's happy. It really is a unified effort all the way down to somebody who literally came here hoping for a better opportunity. Did it the right way, started a company, is working their tail off, and hoping to have opportunities, stepping into a person who's been in their shoes, connecting them with the college, connecting them with organizations like ours, which is the Economic Alliance, which still does quite a bit to serve the workforce development community. And so it's all about the community. It really is the definition behind it. And then you even mentioned incentives for partnerships between the small and the minority businesses, and then also kind of the larger public and private entities, right? I think there's a lot of people don't realize the incentives and kind of of having those relationships. Can you kind of talk to us more about the power of the importance of the relationship between the big firms and the incentives of being a big firm, and why they would want to work and partner and collaborate with the minority contractor community? Can you talk to us about that specifically?
Sure, yes, absolutely. So there's great interest, from government agencies, from, corporate responsibility, okay, to create, enhance and increase and strengthen our society overall, okay? So how does that happen? It happens by, helping, small businesses, build wealth, okay? And one of the ways also there's, in the past few years have been a lot of civil unrest, however you want to call it, but there's still, social friction, okay? There's anxieties, there's things that have been built for many decades, right? And so how do you, a lot of very well-intentioned ideas of how do we improve, how do we get better, how do we move past that? But I'm, because of my experience and my background, with my father and all that, and building something, that leaves some, that you can be proud of, it's very important, and allows you to rocket, push yourself forward. So I believe that providing that opportunity to others is very important. Men and women of color, okay, marginalized, historically marginalized, people in our nation. And there's also, people of the other, that, have a lighter skin color, haven't had those issues, and they recognize these challenges, and they want to do, they're like, I want to do something very meaningful, okay? So what institutions such as NAMC and, like I said, the Economic Alliance, can do is bring all these entities together, because at the end, we need each other, okay? We cannot do it ourselves. Sometimes there's either this attitude of a very big, extremely well thought out program that is doomed to fail because it's just, too rigid, okay? And it was just conceived to do all these very specific things, with a narrow mindset. And then there's the other one like, no, don't worry about it. The market will help us, will sort things out. Yeah, the market will certainly help this thing, sort things out, but the market is driven by humans, okay? Each of us have our own, personal apprehensions, concerns, and especially when it happens in construction. Business overall is a risky proposition. Construction is even a riskier, industry unto itself for a whole host of reasons.
Oh, yeah.
So, at the end, people do business with, and especially in construction, where there's a degree of confidence, okay? So we need to very meaningfully come to the table, okay, and talk about these things, okay? Taking the approach of like the ostrich just sticking her head in the ground, not pretending like, everything's good. There was some legislation passed back in the 60s that took care of that. We're good. Of course there's been progress. We see it, we feel it, okay, everywhere, okay, at every level. But there's still more that needs to be done in the sense that we cannot be stuck. So the partnership between big and small needs to come, because I can only get so far. Like I said, I've been here 20 years. Yes, I'm able to have a whole lot of knowledge and understanding. I mean, those 20 years are full of, successes and failures, okay? Thankfully, the successes have been bigger than the failures.
Right.
So the net result is like 20 years, I'm still here, happy and doing very well. But we need to provide, partner, so that we can provide these tools and these true partnerships to help when there are little setbacks. Because a lot of things that happens with small minority and women-owned businesses is the setbacks get magnified, okay? All businesses fail, Jason, no matter the color of your skin, and I say fail, have setbacks. Let's use that word. But sometimes when you're a person and you've been given, you work into an opportunity for you maybe push yourself and go into a larger job, and there's a setback, pretty quickly it's like, oh, well, he just wasn't ready. Oh, she wasn't really prepared. Oh, he or she was over his head. That's something that you hear a lot. But guess what? Going to the next level means exactly, being over your head. Okay, every single small business as they grow, they've been over there. They have to take that leap. So we need to come together, provide the platform and the venues where we can all talk, and then, for one, to provide the opportunity, but also provide the follow-up. Okay, so when things work really well, awesome. Let's talk about it. Let's do more of that. And when there are little setbacks, we all come together and look at it and analyze how, what can change and what can be done to, resolve the situation. And then, yes, and sometimes the setbacks are, very big and they're for very specific reasons. And then it is what it is. But not, that everybody feels that they're getting not a fair shot, a comprehensive, they're being, shot in every, and allowed, an opportunity to succeed.
Sounds good. Now, as we kind of wrap up, we always like to transition the show, and thank you so much for highlighting NAMC, the importance of the work that they're doing. I think it flows right in alignment with our objectives here, which is to help keep and grow a workforce that can provide jobs and can provide opportunities and keep business and economy thriving, right? We have a phenomenal talent pool. People are always pressing for more people. Involving and engaging with the minority community is going to be a big part of that. I think you guys might have some events or things that are coming up. Can you tell us about any special events that you guys have coming up for your organization?
Sure, absolutely. So what I was talking about connecting, right, big and small, our major corporate partners with our small minority and woman-owned contractors. At the end, it's about this. It's about interaction, talking to each other. Yes, this past 2 years now have been difficult, from that standpoint. But guess what? Construction, we were essential. You can't build a building remotely, right? Via Zoom or Skype or Teams or whatever it is. So us in construction, our workforce has remained very, very active. Actually, as part of most of the industry around the ship channel. So from that perspective, we still had to take a step back from meetings and all that stuff, but we came back strong last year, and we're going strong this year. So in March, we had in February because of the Omicron rise and the county and some guidance, we decided to push it back a little bit to March, okay, a specific day coming up, but we have our NAMC Houston Business Construction Expo, okay. We did that, I remember February, just before the pandemic hit strong, and it was extremely successful at the Sheraton on 610 and 290 there. We're set to have it in the same place, okay, and that's going to be an expo where our major corporate partners will be present and all our members will be able to come in. And non-members, we always invite you, want to welcome you so that you can get an idea of what NAMC is about and hopefully join us. So that's number one. Then golf, of course, really popular. We're going to have a golf tournament. We had it last year in April, and we're going to have it back again, this year. And that gives an opportunity, like I said, once again, we pair then our small business, our minority-owned business, or woman-owned business with the larger corporate partners. And you play golf, then you're going to be paired up with one of them and be able to interact and talk on a different setting. Okay, talk about life and then talk about business. Because at the end of the day, that's how we get to know each other and establish a level of comfort, and then be able to do business with each other.
So I want to make sure we take that moment to follow NAMC or NAMC as far as the organization is concerned, and track those opportunities, because for some of our audience, there might be audience right now that's listening or probably not listening because they don't understand language, but minority contractors that are not really, like you had mentioned, equipped to know and understand these opportunities that present themselves. So if you're a GC, or if you're a contractor or a specialty contractor or in the industry, but you have a partner or a peer who you collaborate with that is a minority, this is a great opportunity for you to make them aware.
Yep.
A lot of times they're head down trying to get the job done. So again, please don't be afraid to spread the word, communicate this to them, and then help them get the opportunity to do that. Because if they can get engaged, they can improve their career opportunities, and that just creates more for you and your business as well. last thing, we've got a few more minutes left as we get ready to wrap up. I guess the easiest thing that I'd like to do to kind of close this out and consolidate, you left some great things for us today. If you just had something to leave for some encouragement for somebody who might be struggling in the realm of the field, right, the construction field. Maybe someone's listening to this episode today, head down, going, oh man, I stumbled across this. Maybe God put that in their lap, and they're wondering, am I going to make it? Is my construction company going to get there? Are we going to make it happen? And they're fighting some things or trying to make it over the top. Could you possibly share some things of encouragement of how they might be able to see some success based on what you've experienced?
Yes, no, absolutely. Like I was saying, 20 years, 2 decades long, a lot of ups and downs. And so I've been on the downs too. And what's kept me going, at the end, there's always something, God has a funny way, always, divine providence, whatever you want to call it, bring things to you. But divine providence is just not sitting out there, and you just gotta, you gotta be out there. You gotta do your part, okay, number one. So you gotta be active, you gotta be, stay engaged, okay? No matter how low you're feeling or how high you are, like I always say, that you're never as good as your good days, and you're not as bad as you are in your bad days. That's the bottom line. So one of the things that I always, proven, that helped me out a lot is to, no matter if things are rocking and rolling and all that, stay engaged, okay, and reach out. And the other thing is, don't, you can't really calculate, the dots never connect themselves the way you think, okay? There's been a lot of times I'm like, oh, this project, and I target it for 2 years, and then I do it, and it turns out it wasn't everything that it was cracked out to be. And then the smallest, project, somebody came and I'm like, and I felt like, oh, this is an annoyance, or I don't really, all of a sudden I do it, I still, so what I've learned, I used to be, I never really dismiss it. It's never judge a book by its cover. That's what they say. Absolutely 100%. I mean, that's so, you'd be surprised, the people, I've been surprised myself about the people that have been able then in very difficult times to help me out. Were people that didn't necessarily, never be calculating, I guess would be, what I would recommend. And keep your heart open, be out there, talk to people, reach out. You'd be surprised, everybody, and that's what one of the things that NAMC facilitates is, yeah, we do our networkings. Every month we have a networking event. Come out, and we do it in the evening. It's a very relaxed environment, and you're gonna bump into somebody that will be able to help you one way or the other. And a lot of times, like I said, it happened with me with Metro. I didn't work for Metro. I once did a $5,000 job, and then 3-4 years later, my next job with Metro was a $3 million job.
Wow, yeah.
How does it, is that, no, I mean, it just, did I plan it to do it that way? No, not one bit. But whenever that $5,000 job came around, I didn't say like, oh no, I mean, this is just $5,000, 2-3 days worth of work, a week, forget it. It's gonna be more of a hassle. No, I just came down and I did it. I established a great relationship with the folks over there at Metro, and eventually, and we all we used to joke about it. One day we'll do something together. And like I said, when the right opportunity came around, then it took 3 or 4 years. Can you be out there 3 or 4 years? No, that's just an example. There was a whole lot of projects in between,
right,
with a bunch of different people. But life is like that, okay?
Right.
So you got to put your trust in God, okay, and then get out there and then do your part, okay? Be active and remain engaged, and then let God do His thing, but keep your heart open.
I love it, man. I heard three great things. Trust in God that He'll help you find the way, that He'll do that. I heard that there's an ability to don't be afraid to take the work somebody won't do, because I think a lot of times they start, well, should I do that project? When you take the job, when you take the project, when you put yourself out there, putting yourself out there is the only way you're going to get exposure. Yep. It might lead to a bigger deal down the road. And so, and that's the thing a lot of people start struggling with, especially at when you start in business. When you start in business, you'll take anything, and then you start trying to be more selective because you get marginalized with your time, and then sometimes you'll walk past really great opportunities because maybe you have your blinders on. So I heard that, and then the last thing was, and you mentioned about the networking. People are there to help you. You just sometimes have to ask for help. Right?
Exactly.
So swallow your pride if you need to. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think we wrapped up with some great feedback today, Roger. I want to thank you for coming on. You've been a joy. Again, folks, Roger Pombrol from Emerald Standard Electrical Contractors here in Pasadena, Texas, chairman of the board for the National Association of Minority Contractors here in Houston. You've been a gift. It's been a pleasure having you. Don't be afraid to reach out to him. And again, if you know a minority contractor who needs pointed in the right direction, I want to give 2 recommendations. There's 2 great people. Roger, so you could certainly reach out to Roger, and then also Bill Brown. We didn't get a chance to highlight him today, but one of our questions is always, who do you want to thank?
He's a rock star.
He's a rock star. We were with him last night. Austin Commercial Industrial here, or I'm sorry, Austin Industrial is the part of the business and the vertical that he's in here in Houston. Great guy. Excited to have people committed to helping our minorities in the contractor community. So thank you again for your time. For those that want to continue to tune in, again, we were live here today at the Economic Alliance. My partner in crime, Clint AKIN, is out on this episode, but we look forward to having him back in studio with us and a few more of our episodes coming up. We're always going to be meeting here at the Shell Studio, part of the Economic Alliance, and you can go to the allianceportregion.com, which is the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region's page. You can go to our media section, go to the events, stay tuned in to all the great things that we have going in, and don't forget to subscribe to our show. That way you'll constantly get updates when we're releasing new episodes. They're going to be coming out weekly, and we look forward to seeing you. You can contact me on LinkedIn. That's the easiest way to track me down. Shoot me a note, and let's talk. If you want to talk the show, you want to talk the economy, you want to talk about great guests we should bring on board, you just want to talk business, I'm happy to be a part of that. So we'll see you guys out there and see you on the next episode.